Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Monday 2 Cents. It's great to be back in Nairobi after our little trip in Mombasa. I hope you saw our last episode. So without further ado, let's do this. Now we start off this week's 2 Cents on a very weird note, in a very weird mood after what the president announced last week and just the turn of events as far as our political circles are concerned. Now, everybody has resigned, or rather stepped aside. Anyway, this and more we're gonna listen to, or rather hear, in our last week's recap. Now, last week has been very eventful. I mean, according to me, the whole country, everybody should actually resign because there's corruption everywhere, from the clergy. In Kisumu, there's been an archbishop who's been involved in quite a number of corrupt deals. Our traditional media has actually tried to bring these things up, and all these other Catholic bishops have stood by the archbishop, and I think it's terrible. The church should actually be helping in shaping the country's society, the people's characters and behaviors and everything. But corruption actually begins in the church. The other day we just heard about the Kanyari saga. Now it's getting into the Catholic Church. Our country is rotten, I'm gonna say that. Our president, when he was mentioned in the ICC cases, he did step aside, then he became president, despite the fact that he was actually mentioned in the ICC cases. The deputy president himself, his name is not yet cleared as far as the ICC is concerned, still in office. We have these other guys, the CSs, who most of them have stepped aside pending investigations. It's a great move, yes, to step aside, but how many have stepped aside in this country and have just come back only to continue in their various offices? I mean, from the president himself to Mr. Kiraitu Murungi stepped aside some time back. Mwiraria stepped aside. Wetangula stepped aside before. I mean, Kimunya, name them. These guys have stepped aside only for them to come back. I really hope this stepping aside this time around is going to work. Furthermore, the lawyers themselves are accusing each other of corruption. I mean, if we are to take these guys to court, the lawyers are corrupt. Last week, we had talked about them fighting each other as far as their accounts and some records are concerned. They don't trust each other. The lawyers are supposed to be very instrumental in prosecuting these people. The politicians, almost all of them, are corrupt. The president, when his name was mentioned, he actually still went ahead and went into office as president. The DP is still in office. The Anti-Corruption Commission, the ones who are supposed to investigate themselves, are corrupt because we know of two commissioners who are actually rooting for someone to be removed from office. Yet again, they change their minds. I mean, what kind of people are we dealing with? So that's last week for you. I just think every single Kenyan should just get out of the country, move to Tanzania at least a bit in the name of stepping aside. Then we start vetting everybody one by one as we come into our country. That is the only way we're gonna flush this thing out. Otherwise, every child right now, they say when they grow up, they want to be a politician so that they can amass all this great wealth. It is terrible, I tell you. Here's our next segment of I Wonder. Ever wonder why they say that we are all equal? The deaf, the disabled, the dumb, we are all equal. But have you ever noticed that the deaf people only get a very small box on your screen to do their translation, while the rest of us get the big screen? Are we really equal? Do you wonder this thing? Because I wonder the same thing. Tell me what you think. I'm not so much a religious person, but I'm gonna have to really go down on my knees, and I beg that you do so, to pray for our country as far as this corruption is concerned. The only people who are left to be accused of corruption is the fourth estate, the media, the us. I mean, hey, the police, they're not above board. The politicians, both in the government and in the opposition, not above board. The clergy, they're damned. The executive, even the presidents. So I'd like to actually urge everybody, because right now what is left is divine intervention. Let's get on our knees. Let's pray to our Creator and call on Him to help us get this thing out, because clearly we are rotting. And like Lumumba said, rot cannot sustain anything. Rot cannot even sustain itself. So if our government, our leaders those who are supposed to actually shape our society are rotten, we are damned, we are doomed, we are dead. I hope you actually get on your knees to pray. You've been watching